Hello everyone and welcome to another video on JavaScript programming. Hope you guys are doing well. Kaushal this side from SimpliCode, and this is the part 2 of the previous video where we discussed object in JavaScript. So before we begin, make sure that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel and press that bell icon to never miss an update from SimpliCode. So without any further delay, let's get started. In the previous video, we came over the essential introduction to objects in JavaScript. We saw the two different ways in which we can create an object. We came across the basic definition and usage of objects in JavaScript. So in this particular video, we will talk a little bit more about objects. We'll continue with the previous program we made. So today we will use the literal object way because this method of creating objects is a bit easier than the other one we discussed, which was the constructor function method. So this is the code we used in the last video. Here we created the car object, which has three properties: car manufacturer, car model, and the price of the car. We have a method here as all-wheel drive. When we use this method here, we use this method with the dot operator, and we called that function, we called that method with the help of the object. So the output was this car comes with four-wheel drive. So this was something we did in the previous video. If we talk about objects in JavaScript, a lot of things we know about in JavaScript are basically objects, like the Boolean values, numbers, strings, and a few more. So many of these things can be objects if we define them with the new keyword. Basically, any of the data type other than the null and undefined can be converted to objects, or they have their equivalent object forms if we define them with the new keyword. So we have a few predefined objects as well. We have the math object, the date object, and the regular expression are also considered objects in JavaScript. A lot of things are objects in JavaScript. We'll use objects in DOM manipulation, which we will go through in further videos. So that's why it is pretty essential to understand the whole concept of objects, right? So next up, let's look at how we can use different data types as objects in JavaScript. So the syntax for using the basic data types as objects in JavaScript goes like this. We'll declare a variable first. We have a variable str1, and next up we'll write here the new keyword and the data type. So string is our data type, which we will be using as objects for now. So this is the complete syntax of how to use a data type as an object in JavaScript. If we'll write here str1 and we'll use the dot operator, so here we can see we have the object methods as well, right? So I hope you guys are aware of the methods present in JavaScript. Like we had the string and array methods, right? We have methods for object as well, like the index of method. We have seen the use of index of method when we went through the string methods in JavaScript. So similarly, we have the font color and the length property for object as well. So length here is the property, and other which we can see are the methods for objects in JavaScript. So here this str1 becomes the object by default when we use the new keyword with the string while declaring. So there are few ways to determine if a variable is an object or a primary data type. So the easiest way to do so is to use the type of operator. So let's use it here and check the type of variable str1. We'll write here document.write and we'll print the type of this variable. So we'll use the type of operator and the type of variable str1. So let me put it inside the h1 tag. So here we have written our type of operator. So let's print this value on the browser. If we save it, see here you can see it says object. If we write a string here in place of this new string, so if we write here any string, let's suppose we are using a string here. Let's say we are using hello. Okay, let's save it now, and here you can see the type of this variable str1 changed from object to string. So this is the difference between a primitive data type. It was a string earlier, but when we use it with the new keyword along with the string, and this is the basic syntax of how to define a primitive data type as an object. So if we save it now, here you can see it is converted to object. Similarly, we can use the other basic data types as well, and the other predefined objects we talked about, like the date object and the math object, we'll go through each of them in separate videos. So moving on, let's go back to our car object. After we declared the whole object, we defined all the three properties and the method also. Somewhere in the program, we realized that we had missed a particular property, and we realized it after we have written 150 lines of code after this car object. So here you can say we have written here 150 line of code. So I'm not writing 150 lines, but let's do it this way. So we realized it after 150 lines. In JavaScript, we can add a particular property to an object outside the definition also. We can add a property to an object anywhere in a program. The syntax for that goes like this. We'll write the object name with the property name along with the dot operator. So we'll write here one more property. Let's say we are using car color, and the value of this property will be, let's say, black, right? What this line will do is it will add one more property inside this existing car object. So initially we had three properties. Now this line will add one more property to this car object. We are using the same name, that is the object's name having three properties over here. We are using the same object name here. You can see here the object name is car, and here we have also used the car object name. Now we have added one more property to this object car. We can check it. Let's print it out on the browser. So what we will do, we'll write here document.write. So here you can see we have used the document.write method to print this car color on our browser. So we have used here car.carColor. Let's save this program now and see. Here you can see the output is black. So this is the property of the object car now. And if we comment this line, let's say if we are commenting this line, let's save this now and see. Here you can see it says undefined. We can add more properties similarly. Like if we want to add another property here, we can go like car dot and the property name, whatever property we want to add. Let's say we want to add fuel type. So it can be a petrol car or a diesel car or an electric car. It doesn't matter. So we can add properties as well. In fact, we can add methods as well. So the syntax to add method goes like, we can add a method here. We'll see it will go like car dot. Let's say we are adding a new function. Let's say we are adding the function new fun equals to, and here we will write function. So the body of the function. Now whatever we want to write inside the function, let's say this function return function successfully added. So if we try to call this function from outside, we can do it. So let's try to check out the output for this function. Let's say we want to access this particular function. So save it now, and here you can see it says function successfully added. So the new method we added is the new fun, and we added this method to our pre-existing object, which was the car object. So I hope you guys are aware of how to add a new property or a new method to an existing object by now. What if we want to delete a particular object? So it's pretty easy to do so in JavaScript. We can use the delete keyword, object name and the property name after the dot operator. Let's suppose we want to delete car model here. We want to delete this particular property of the object car. So what we'll do, we'll delete this car model. So the syntax for it is quite simple. So we'll remove this for now and we'll delete a property. Let's say we are using the delete keyword with the object name dot method name or the property name. So we'll delete here car model, right? Let's save it now. So this particular line will delete the car model attribute of this car object. Let's check it out and we will print here the car model. So we'll write here car underscore model and save it now. So here you can see it says undefined, and if we try to comment this line, and now if we try to save this program, so here you can see the car model is Q7. So this is how we can delete a particular property or a particular method from an object. One more thing before we wrap up this video is, As we all know, JavaScript is a loosely typed language, right? So we can change the data type of these properties on the fly. Now we will change the data type of this property. We had the price property, right? So we'll change the data type of this particular property now. We note that the value of the price property is a number. Let's change this number to a string data type. What we have to do is we have to write here car dot price and update the value here. Let's say we are using 70,000 and we have to put here semicolon. It's the same thing we do to update the value of a particular variable, right? So if we try to print the value of price now, we'll get the output as 70,000. Let's try to print it on the browser. So we'll cut it from here, we'll paste it here, and we'll print car price. Save it now. See, here you can see it says 70,000. If we want to check the type of this property, what we can do is we can use the type of operator. So we'll use the type of operator. So this is the syntax of how we can use the type of operator. Let's save this now and see, here it says string. Earlier it was a number, but now it is a string. So all these things can be done dynamically in a program wherever we want to do them. So that's the benefit of having objects in JavaScript. So that's all for this video, guys. See you in the next one, where we will go through the math object in JavaScript. Math object is a predefined object. We'll go through it in next video. So if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. If you have any doubts, do let us know in the comments. Share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe SimpliCode. Thank you.